Cooking pasta seems simple. Boil water, add noodles, wait a few minutes, and dinner is served. At least, that is what I thought. What should have been a quick and easy meal turned into a series of unfortunate events that left my kitchen covered in bubbles and my confidence in shambles. It started with a decision. Instead of ordering takeout, I would cook for myself. A big step for someone whose entire meal plan consisted of microwavable dinners and sandwiches. I chose spaghetti because it seemed impossible to mess up. The first step was boiling water. I filled a pot, placed it on the stove, and turned the heat up. Then, I waited, and waited. Nothing happened. I started questioning how long water was supposed to take to boil. It felt like hours, but in reality, it had only been about 5 minutes. Then I remembered something I had heard before. Adding salt to water makes it boil faster. Without measuring, I poured in what I assumed was the right amount. The water began bubbling aggressively, and I took it as a sign that my plan had worked. Feeling confident, I grabbed the box of spaghetti. The instructions said to use about 2 ounces per person, but I was hungry. Rather than measuring, I emptied the entire box into the pot. Immediately, the water level rose, foam started forming, and within seconds, it began boiling over. Steam filled the air, water hissed onto the hot burner, and panic set in. At this point, I was convinced I had to act fast. I looked around for a solution. My brain, overwhelmed by the chaos, locked onto the first thing in sight, a bottle of dish soap. Without thinking, I grabbed it and squeezed some into the pot, believing it might help calm the bubbling water. That was the moment everything went from bad to worse. The combination of soap, pasta, and boiling water created an eruption of foam. Bubbles spilled over the stove, onto the counter, and onto the floor. Within seconds, my kitchen looked like something out of a cleaning commercial gone wrong. Realizing my mistake, I turned off the stove and stared at the disaster in front of me. The pasta was ruined, my kitchen was covered in suds, and I had just learned a very important lesson: never improvise when cooking for the first time. After cleaning up the mess, I was tempted to give up and order food. But I was determined to finish what I started. This time, I followed instructions exactly. I measured the water, added just a pinch of salt, and only used the recommended amount of pasta. It worked. The pasta cooked perfectly, the sauce heated up without any issues, and I finally had a meal that did not involve takeout. As I sat down to eat, I reflected on my journey. I had not just learned how to cook pasta, I had learned patience, the importance of following instructions, and most importantly, that dish soap has no place in the cooking process. This experience was humbling, but it also reminded me that mistakes are part of learning. Cooking disasters happen to everyone at some point, and each one is a step toward getting better. Cooking does not always go as planned. What is the worst mistake you have ever made in the kitchen? Maybe you set off the fire alarm making toast, or perhaps you accidentally used sugar instead of salt. Share your funniest cooking disasters in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like, share, and follow for more. Because sometimes, the best lessons come from the biggest mistakes.